visually impaired para-triathlete Katie Kelly and her guide, Michellie Jones. Katie and Michellie are both amazing athletes in their own right. Together, they form an indomitable team that is taking their sport to new heights. During a race, they are never separated by more than a few feet, and the bond, trust, and dedication that unites these Australian national heroines is proof that you don't always need sight to share a vision. Katie has worn hearing aids since the age of 5, but never let that stop her from being heavily involved in sports, both as an athlete and as her profession. In her mid-20s, Katie was diagnosed with Usher syndrome, a progressive degenerative condition that affects both hearing and vision. In 2015, she was declared legally blind. When one door closes, though, another one seems to open, and Katie chose to focus on competing in the emerging sport of para-triathlon and soon achieved number 13 worldwide ranking. In May 2015, she teamed up with 2000 Olympic silver medalist and 2006 Ironman world champion Michellie Jones, a longtime CAF supporter. With Michellie as her guide, Katie reached her goal, capturing gold for Australia at the Rio Paralympics. In the process, Michellie amazingly was able to garner medals in both the inaugural Olympic triathlon and Paralympic para-triathlon events. Beyond topping the podium in Rio this past January, both Katie and Michellie were recognized with special national honors on Australia Day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first featured athletes of the night, Katie Kelly and her guide, Michellie Jones, PT5 gold medalist in the inaugural Paralympic para-triathlon event.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's just so lovely to be here, to be back in New York. Last time I was here, I was actually doing the New York Marathon in 2005. But it's just a wonderful opportunity to share you my story and to be here with Michellie Jones, who has such a strong association with the Challenge Athlete Foundation. And as you just heard, I have Usher syndrome, so they never quite knew the cause of my hearing loss. You know, I was brought up in a country town in Australia, a population of about 10,000. And can you believe it, back in those days, my mum knew something wasn't quite right about my hearing, and she took me to the doctors, and he literally just clapped in my ear, and I'm a little girl going, yeah, I can hear that. So it wasn't until in my primary years that the school teachers picked up on it, and I started wearing hearing aids. And I guess I just share that because in some ways, disability comes in all shapes and sizes. Mine was a little bit more hidden, but I always felt that I had to work harder to keep up with everyone, and there was certainly that determination that I didn't want to be treated differently. I wanted the same opportunities as everybody else, and that's a really strong message for tonight. So then, you know, I went to college and started a sports marketing career, and in my early 20s, I'd go out to the pubs with my mates, and they'd be like, oh, KK's had one too many, because I was always sort of tripping over. So there I was in Sydney, and I saw an ophthalmologist, and he confirmed the reason for my hearing loss was because of a condition called Usher syndrome. Deaf-blind condition. I'm one of 5, so I was the lucky one. And there's no cure, but there's fantastic research being done in earlier diagnosis. So I guess when you get that kind of news that you're told that you're going to lose your eyesight and your hearing, there was a part of me that thought, you know, time is of the essence. Life presents us all different challenges, and my dad always said, no one gets off life easy. So for me, it was really about making the most of all the wonderful things that I have. And so I went on to do things like the New York Marathon, the Port Macquarie Ironman. And then some years later, they say life begins at 40. I was just about to turn 40, and I went and saw my ophthalmologist. I hadn't seen her for about 5 years, because there's not much they can do. Slowly my eyesight's getting very tunnel, so I struggle in rooms like this, and apologies if people come to shake my hand and I don't see it and I leave you there hanging. Happens all the time. and I saw my ophthalmologist. She said, Katie, what have you been up to? And I said, oh, well, I've just been in Sydney and I went over to London for a few years and I did my first Ironman and I went to Norway and did a midnight sun marathon, because where else can someone like me who's a blind bat can run a marathon at midnight in broad daylight? So she said, oh, so you're coping okay? And I'm like, yeah, I think so, you know. But I mean, it's always hard, and Michellie sees the day-to-day and I'm constantly bumping into things and I'm starting to use a cane stick, and so it is confronting. Anyway, so she did some eye tests and essentially the results came back in January 2015. So we're talking some 18 months ago, and they came back that I was now legally blind. And again, that's just news I knew that was coming. And my sister's here with me tonight, Bridge, and I actually rang her in the taxi after that. And I had a few tears. I'm like, I said, oh, Bridge, you know, I've just been told I'm now officially legally blind. And great sister, tough love, she was like, you always knew that was coming, you know, get on with it. I'm like, okay, all right. Believe it or not, the very next phone call, because I've always been a lover of triathlons, never that great at it, but maybe that's because I couldn't see that well when I was riding. It'd be like, poor people in front of me, around me, get out of the way. So the very next phone call was to Triathlon Australia. And in my mind I was thinking, well, now that, you know, I'm legally blind, maybe I could finally get into that race that I've always wanted to do, but I've never been good enough, the Hawaii Ironman. Maybe I can take advantage of the disadvantage. So I spoke to Triathlon Australia, and, you know, now that I know Andrew Messi, I know who to call. And they said, Katie, have you heard about Para Triathlon? It's debuting at Rio. Would you like to be part of it? So there I was. I'm someone who's had a sort of my own sports marketing career. Here was an opportunity to go on and represent Australia in Para Triathlon. And just to speed things up, it all happened very quickly. I met Michellie in a small hotel room in Yokohama in May. I met her, I'm like, very giddy and excited. And we just clicked, and she's an amazing woman, and she's given me a lot. And we went on to eventually qualify for the World Champ in Chicago, and then that secured us a spot in Rio. And so that led us all the way to Rio to win that gold medal last year. But I'll just finally say is tonight, heroes, heart and hope. And I think the other key word is humanity. And in today's world, when there's so much uncertainty around us, nights like this that remind us what human life is all about, and that we're all one human race. You know, we're all one people. Doesn't matter what our ability is. And a good friend of mine who's the captain of the Australian Paralympic team, he always talks about the people with a disability. They're not a burden on society. Life. So I commend the original founders of Challenge Athlete Foundation, what you've achieved, to Scott Slapman and what you've done for this event over the last 11 years. And I've set up my own foundation in Australia for sport access. I hope to be as big as this one day. I was looking at your corporate sponsors thinking maybe I could start talking a few of those. I wouldn't do that, no. But thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a great honour. Thank you.
Yes, thanks to Katie, I have a silver medal as an able-bodied athlete, and now I have a gold medal as a para-athlete. And I must admit, having a gold Paralympic medal is honestly way more special than my individual medal, because I got to help Katie. The CAF Foundation is very close to my heart, to my hometown of San Diego. To think that the sport of triathlon really created all this. And, you know, I've been to a lot of events over the years, and I've seen how sport changes your life. I know how sport has changed my life,
being a professional triathlete all these years and the opportunity that it leads. And I'm definitely a big believer in, it doesn't matter if you're an able-bodied athlete or you're a challenge athlete, we all face similar obstacles. We all want to get to the finish line first. It's costly, it's expensive, it's challenging. And I was lucky enough not only to guide Katie, I've actually coached several challenge athletes, including Sarah Reinerson, who I love to death. And definitely as an able-bodied athlete, seeing how sport can change people, seeing what it can provide, and also unifying us all as one is very, very important. And to understand these para-athletes are real athletes. There's no doubt about it. I've seen them train, I've seen the dedication, the commitment, and to be part of Katie's journey, to me, as I said, it's one of the most amazing things that sport has given me. So thank you to the challenge athletes for enabling athletes like Katie and a lot of the athletes sitting in this room to do what we love to do. And of course, thank you to the Australian coach, Corey Bacon, for asking me to guide, because without his vision, Katie and I would never have been together. So in the future, think about the CAF, what it's done to so many people's lives and what it will continue to do. And thank you to all the para-athletes who have inspired me over the years.